Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. A little different episode tonight. Well, we're on the heels. A couple days ago, we had the big launch, Artemis, right here from Cape Canaveral, the Space Coast. And there's a reason that I wanted to do this episode. It's a little bit different because I went to watch the launch. Located here on the Space Coast, we are about, Indian Harbor Beach, about 20 plus miles south of Cape Canaveral. So you get a good view of the launches. As a matter of fact, since we moved here in 2020, I've probably seen more than 100 SpaceX launches. I mean, those SpaceX, those satellite launches go every week, probably 3 to 4 a week. And so, various times during the day, sometimes in the middle of the night. And those are pretty spectacular during the night launches. But I wanted to do this episode because I went, and matter of fact, here's, if you're watching on YouTube, here's me, just a couple seconds after the launch had just cleared and kind of gone off into the distance there, and you can see the trail left by the launch, the rocket. And we had quite a crowd out there. I mean, the crowds were amazing. If you have any comments, leave them. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go live, because I got such a reaction when I posted this 12-second video of me being there on the beach and watching the launch. It was incredible. I'm going to talk about that. So if you have any comments on the launch, you believe it's a fake or we did not go to the moon, let me know what you think about that. I'm going to cover that. I mean, I'm not an expert of whether we went to the moon or not. Although I have friends who tell me I'm very naive to believe that ever happened and that it's all a fake. And they were, but I have reason to believe that it did happen. And I do believe that it did happen. And even though, the amount of comments, you're just not going to believe. I'm going to address that. But right to this point, over 4,000 comments. When I leave a video on how to have a powerful mindset, a shift in your paradigm so that you can have a great life, motivational, personal growth, self-improvement stuff. Maybe I get a couple hundred likes at the most. This little 12-second video has over 170,000 plus views. So I got quite a reaction from this 12-second video, and that's why I wanted to do this episode on the fake launch. We did not go to the moon. I say it was a real launch, and we did go to the moon, and that's my belief. And I guess there's ways to argue against that, but I believe that it happened. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, listen, go on over to YouTube. And when you're done, of course, listening, when you can get to it, and you'll see just a picture of me there shortly after the launch. And man, they were lined up at 9 a.m. I know near Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral and up and down the streets, and people were traveling from all over. The hotels were full, and traffic was a little bit crazy. Not too bad where I'm at on the Space Coast here in Indian Harbor Beach. And right now I'm in the Melbourne studio. But I wanted to do an episode on the fake launch, Artemis 2. And we did not go to the moon. What do you think? Leave a comment if you want to jump on here. I'm live. And, there's reasons. I'm going to go over a couple different reasons why. And apparently there's numerous reasons beyond this that we did not go to the moon. But the waving of the flag, right? That one picture, it appears to be flapping in photos. Now, they explain that by saying, well, there's no wind on the moon, but while it was being placed, it moved. Or, it took it, as they touched it, it went into that position and it just held there. And it looks like it's flapping. And so they say that's just, an illusionary, photo. There are no stars, even though it's pitch black dark, right off the moon there. It's dark. Well, they explain that the camera was set for daylight pictures, and the stars are so faint that the camera with a short exposure doesn't pick that up. I guess that's the explanation for that. What evidence do you have for such a claim, right? That it's fake or it's real? That it's real? I'll tell you why. I have evidence. I'm going to submit my evidence. Maybe you'll re-vote. All right. People say non-parallel shadows, right? They appear to go in different directions. implying that there were multiple artificial lights, like they were in a studio. And they try to explain that, NASA does, by saying it was uneven surfaces and the perspective distortion caused that. The Van Allen radiation belt, they say astronauts should not been able to survive that. Yeah, it wouldn't be rock solid if it's fabricated on a planet with, well, the way everything's, I'll go with the argument that we're discovering so much bullshit and fake news, and things have been, seems like what is real nowadays. So the argument is stronger and stronger that it isn't real, just based on everything else that we're finding and it's BS and not real. So I'm going to give you that. All right, I'll give you that. And let me put your comment on there, because that's important that you get that on there. Let me biggin it for you a little bit. Yeah. I like it. Do you have any images of said shadows? Oh, I should have put some images up there, but I'm going to address that for sure. Well, let's look at some of the other claims, though, right? They say the lack of crater, right? The lunar module left no crater or dust displacement. And then wet tracks in dry environment. Footprints appear sharp and defined, suggesting moisture, which cannot exist on the moon. Okay, multiple light sources, and the objects in the shadows are still visible. People argued that would require studio lighting. And no engine noise or blast footage that shows there's no flame from the descent engine. And the rover is conveniently hidden from takeoff. I'm starting to believe it didn't happen. Now listen, unusual movement by the astronauts doesn't make sense. And the sea rock, a rock in one of the photos, appears to have a C on it, suggesting that it's props. All right, I'll give you that. But listen, here's some evidence that I say that it happened. All right, conspiracy theorists often point to photographs from the lunar surface showing shadows that appear to point in different directions, claiming this proves multiple studio lights were used. The explanation is simpler. Perspective and terrain. On the moon's uneven surface, with its hills, dips, bumps, and small craters, shadows cast by a single light source, the sun, naturally appear to diverge or converge depending on the slope of the ground they fall across. This is the same effect you can see on any hilly landscape on Earth at sunset or sunrise. Uneven topography also affects shadow length, making some objects appear to cast longer or shorter shadows than the neighbors, despite being lit by the same source. Okay, I get it. All right, I hear you. I'm going to put you up there. We need photos. All right. I need some evidence. All right, I got you. I appreciate you. Because that occurs on Earth. Yeah, you're right about that. Okay. What about this? What do you say about this? The Van Allen belts aren't lethal, they say. They say one of the most persistent conspiracy claims is that the astronauts couldn't have survived passing through the Van Allen radiation belts, zones of charged particles trapped by Earth's magnetic field. The actual dosimeter readings from Apollo crews tell a different story. Astronauts received no more than 2 rads of total radiation exposure over the entire 6-day round trip to the moon and back. Even a worst-case calculation for an unshielded transit through the belts produces about 11.4 rads over roughly 53 minutes, which works out to around 13 rads per hour. The length threshold for acute radiation exposure is approximately 300 rads in 1 hour, more than 20 times higher. And that worst-case number assumes an astronaut floating outside the spacecraft with no shielding at all. The command module's aluminum hull reduced exposure further to levels that were, by any medical standard, completely harmless. I don't even know much about this damn Van Allen belt. I need to look into that. All right, while you're on a 1011, let me put this up there. Let me put your astronauts went through the smallest or slimmest part of the Van Allen's belt. Oh, okay, so that's good to know. All right, so you know a little bit about that. You know more about the damn Van Allen belt than I know. That's good. All right, so there's an explanation for that. All right, the moon rocks don't exist on Earth. Okay, what about this argument? The Apollo missions brought back 842 pounds of lunar material. These samples have been studied by thousands of geologists worldwide, right? Other different countries even, for over 5 decades, and their composition is unlike anything found naturally on Earth. The rocks contain minerals like armalcolite, first discovered in lunar samples and named after Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, alongside olivine, pyroxene, I can't say these words, in ratios and forms that reflect the moon's unique geological history. Astronauts received approximately 3.6. Let me put this up there. Hey, I appreciate you jumping on board and rapping with me here. Okay, astronauts received approximately 3.6 you know all about this, sieverts, or equivalent to a few months of natural background radiation on Earth. Far below any danger level. Thank you. All right. Hey, that's good to know. I love it. Let me put this up there. The moon isn't the same as Earth. Different planets or moons composed of different materials. You got to be a scientist, man. You know a lot. You know a lot. Analysis of noble gases trapped in the samples reveals cosmic ray exposure ages stretching back tens of millions of years. Particles from an Apollo 17 drive tube, for instance, show exposure ages of about 60 million years for one layer and around 100 million years for another, recording the history of the lunar surface being churned by impacts and avalanches. No technology on Earth can fabricate that kind of deep time radiation signature. So they say, right? The samples also match material independently collected by Soviet robotic missions, which returned their own small lunar samples during the same era. Right? So I don't know. That makes... Now listen. This is my biggest argument right here. We got the moon rocks. All right, how about this one? Oh, we got the reflectors. Apollo 11, 14, and 15 crews left retroreflector arrays on the lunar surface, essentially panels of precisely angled mirrors. Observatories on Earth have been bouncing laser pulses off these reflectors continuously since 1969. I didn't know that till today. The Lick Observatory detected its first return signal from the Apollo 11 reflector in August 1st, 1969, just days after the landing, measuring the Earth-Moon distance with an accuracy of about 7 meters. Hey, I like this. Hey, why your run? 1011. I like it. Yes, asteroids, etc. Okay. That precision from these mirrors has improved dramatically. The Grasse Laser Ranging Station on France, one of the leading facilities for this work, now measures the round-trip travel time of laser pulses to within 100 picoseconds, yielding distance. Measurements accurate to about 1 centimeter. Observatories in Arizona and Japan have also used the reflectors. These are independent facilities in multiple countries, run by scientists with no connection to NASA, all getting return signals from the exact coordinates where Apollo crews reported placing the arrays. If nobody went to the moon, those reflectors couldn't be there. Oh man, you got to be a scientist. You know too much. It's wavelength frequency. You can find distance. You learn this in physics. Well, you learn more than me. Listen, I think I flunked physics. I flunked most everything except for gym, drama class, and something else. I don't know what it was. English, maybe? Yeah. All right, what about, this is my biggest argument, all right? And this is the basic of this argument. This is a mafia argument. 2 can keep a secret if 1 is dead. That's about the truth in this country or around the world. 2 can keep a secret if 1 is dead. Come on, 400,000 people kept no secrets. The Apollo program employed approximately 409,000 workers, including NASA, staff, and contractors across the country. Companies like Grumman, North American Aviation, IBM, and MIT's Instrumentation Laboratory all built components that had to function together flawlessly. A conspiracy to fake the landings would have required thousands of engineers, scientists, and technicians to either be deceived about what they were building or to stay silent for the rest of their lives. All right. While you're on, 1011 has a sense of humor. I love it. All right, man. That's the one thing I think we can all agree on. Having a sense of humor is the only thing that's going to get us through any of this crap, right? Now, they also say no credible whistleblower has ever emerged from the workforce. Now, one of the 400,000 people involved has produced documents, recordings, or physical evidence of a hoax. Statistical analysis of conspiracy feasibility have shown that most simply, what the hell? Oh, secret. A secret involving this many people would have been exposed within a few years at most, simply because, large groups of humans are terrible at keeping secrets. More than 50 years of silence from every single participant is, on its own, strong. Yeah, I don't think that many people. Yeah, right? Isn't that true? I got to put that comment up there. Yeah. 400,000 people would be hard to keep it silent. I think maybe 3 people it would be hard to trust. Maybe I have a trust issue. It is a possibility that I have a trust issue. I don't think so. But listen, this is the thing. I'm going to go over it. Listen, you can't see it, but, and the only big reaction I got was from TikTok. Okay, TikTok. Come on, it was a stupid little 12-second video to get 170,000 views. And so here are some of the comments. Let me know what you think about these comments. And this is why it inspired me to make this episode and go live. I want to hear what you had to say while you're on 1011. Oh, another thing they were saying about that, you see the trail in that one video. And I have that 12-second video that I run. It obviously shows it arcing and then kind of going along the surface. And so everybody's saying, hey, look, it's not going straight up. TikTok is full of, you know what? I should just delete that TikTok account, right? I forgot why I got on the damn thing to begin with. It says the amount of people who think the rocket should go straight up is disturbing. Well, a lot of people thought it should go straight up, right? So apparently there's an explanation for that. And you must know the explanation for that, why you run 1011. It's an orbital injection trajectory, guys. If you went straight up, you would fall back down. You have to fall around the Earth. That's what orbit is. Okay. All right, so you agree with that. All right, I'm glad. And they showed a little picture of the trajectory. Why is it so hard to believe we've gone to the space, the moon? What a waste of money and time. Everyone in this comment section who says it needs to go straight up needs to do more research about orbit. Right into the ocean. Right under the firmament. It blows my mind that people really believe that we were able to split an atom in 1932, but not able to go to the moon 40 years later, let alone go there now. That makes sense to me. Firmament. Yeah, we are so cooked. That's definitely not going to outer space. Jesus Christ, these comments are making me feel like a genius. That's what somebody commented on. It doesn't look like it's going to the moon. It looks more like it's going to drop into an ocean where no one will see it. On April's Fool's Day, huh? It was on April Fool's Day. That's kind of weird, right? It's settling into an orbital altitude. You can't fly straight up, or you eventually get pulled back down by gravity. There's also more resistance in a vertical ascension, which uses more fuel. The reason they use orbital mechanics is to preserve that fuel, but they have to ascend into a circular elliptical orbit in a particular way. By breaking the atmosphere while at the same time creating enough sideways velocity going parallel to the curvature of the Earth to counteract the downward force of gravity. God bless. These people, that's right. Wrong direction, it says. Looks to me it's not going straight up. Wonder why. Due to we never been to outer space before? Or maybe because it's looking to orbit first and straight up is not fuel efficient, Tommy. Landed in the ocean. I simply cannot believe these comments. If they went straight up, they would simply just fall back to Earth after reaching space. They go at an angle to achieve orbit. Wow. So these are 4,261 comments. I'm just giving you a little bit here, which, I've kind of learned a little bit myself. Let's see, man, if there's anything else worth. April Fool's Day. They're trolling us at this point. On April Fool's Day, and it's a giant arch, not going to space. But let's face it, never underestimate how stupid people are. Right? While you're on 1011, you make a lot of sense, man. You make more sense than anybody else on these comments. All right. They can do it, but like multiple things stated, fuel. All right. Doesn't need to go 90 degrees. That's right. Here's your best comment right here. These people kill me. I got a buddy. He has, well, of course, there's another one, right? The 1986 Challenger explosion. Now, my buddy tells me, they found all these guys. They found them all. Matter of fact, they found one guy from the crew, and then he started running. But, I read online, I looked at it, and all that is, they say that's all BS. They're all confirmed dead. We were watching it live on TV. They were all in there. It exploded, and they all got killed. So it's all a bunch of BS that they later found these astronauts alive around the world. And, yeah. But I'll tell you, he's pretty, he's got a lot of photos and evidence that he, sends to me. But you know what? I don't want to spend that. You know what? I think it would be, okay, if it was a fake, I think it's better that we go forward believing that it is real. Okay? That'll serve us much better. Yeah, the Challenger explosion was terrifying. Where were you when that happened? I was working up at Wayside Honor Rancho for the LA Sheriff's Department in 1986 when that happened. And we were all watching, as a matter of fact, from the compound. We were at an open compound, minimum security, part of the LA County Jail up in, Valencia, California, very outside. And that was my last year in the custody facility. Thank God, I hated it. But we were all watching. There is sadly images of the deceased. Absolutely. I read that also. So that's a bunch of BS. And why even, that's really disrespectful to their families and everybody else to say all that crap and put that out in there. But hey, in today's world, no one gives a shit. And it's too bad. So enough of those comments, I think, to know that the stupid people are alive and well. And all right, everybody, I am going forward. Not alive. That's correct. Not alive. I am going forward with the belief we went to the moon, and we are going to be circling the moon again. And and then they always argue about the speed of the rocket. That was going too slow to get. Listen, I've watched, like I said, over 100 of those SpaceX launches, and it's all this. That's they look like they're going slow too, but and I watch it also simulcast live on their. On the web, and it gives the miles per hour. As a matter of fact, there is I know on YouTube, there's a live feed from the Artemis 2 right now. You can go and watch a live feed. It showed the moon in the background. I guess we're supposed to think that's a fake too, right? Such a tragedy. Why you run? Let's see. We 100% did go to the moon. Yay, thank you. I think so too. I can't wait to see the live footage of the dark side. Yeah, me too. That should be great. Such a tragedy. I was hoping that it didn't occur to Artemis. But yeah, me too. I was, everybody I think probably had that in the back of their minds. Like, holy shit, please don't let that be. You wouldn't believe you can't really tell from my picture here, but there is a big crowd on the beach, man. And we're 20, probably 5 miles plus from Cape Canaveral, right there in Satellite Beach. Actually, right there is Indian Harbor Beach, but just adjacent to Satellite Beach. Yeah, so hey, that's going to be my episode today, everybody. Hey, thanks for checking in. I'm so glad you participated. a little banter back and forth. I'm glad you checked in here. We went to the moon, everybody. It's been settled. We have decided. The verdict is in. Artemis 2 is not a fake. There's a reason why it looked like it wasn't going straight up, because it wasn't, because it's necessary to go in orbit to break free of the Earth's pull to get out into space in the most efficient way possible. 5 miles. Who is 5 miles? I was 25 miles. Yeah, I was about 25 miles south of Cape Canaveral is where Satellite Beach is. Yeah. But you still see you still see it pretty. I should get, a nice telephoto lens for some of these launches. I could get some good pictures. Hey, thanks for checking in. All right, I appreciate you. Hope you're already a subscriber to the channel. I know you are. Thank you for being a part of the community of progress here. All right, that's the end of this episode. I'm also going to make this an MP3 for all the podcast platforms. And if you're listening, hey, when you're done here, which you are right now, head over to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out the live feed. All right. We'll see you in the next episode, everybody.